On arrival at the Air Force Station, where students receive their Army cooperation training, they are shown various important features of the aircraft in which they will fly. After this inspection, they are addressed in the lecture room by the Chief Instructor.
During the course of this school, you will be taught much about one another's services, their problems, their limitations, their tactics, and their organization. There can be no doubt that until each of you obtains a real grasp of these characteristics of the other man's service, you will not be adequately equipped to ensure effective air-army cooperation under operational conditions.
Their job here is to learn how the best results can be achieved from this cooperation. Today, the Air Force and the Army cannot afford to fight in series. They must fight in parallel. At the Hasgard range, in reality a miniature setting of typical country, the Army instructor explains how Air Force pilots will cooperate with ground forces in attacking an enemy position. Strategical roads and other targets are pointed out and the plan of attack outlined. The objective, in this instance, is a building which the enemy is using as an ammunition dump. An artillery bombardment is called for. Students are shown the road leading to the dump. Yes, that is the vital target, so it is imperative to know the exact location. A direct hit and up it goes. Here is another section of training by means of miniatures. The tiny models made of metal, of tanks, guns and motor vehicles, are moved into position by the instructor, who uses a magnetic rod. A finger release lets the model fall into position. Here, the strategy of combined air and army action is planned in fascinating detail. Students are shown in a few hours maneuvers that would take days to reproduce in actual field operations. Training is speeded up and precious time saved by the use of these models. It is obvious, however, that models alone would not give sufficient training for operational purposes. And it is essential that Air Force pilots must have first-hand knowledge of the Army's work on the ground. A day with the field guns comes into the itinerary. Some of the pilots are being shown a battery in action, whilst others who are flying control the firing by radio from the air. Each pilot sees the exercise from both points of view, that is, from the ground and air. Air photography plays a vital part in modern war operations. Cameras are fitted to aircraft and Army students taught how to operate them. He must make careful check for drift and line up the target before making a photographic run. Here in particular, everything depends on accuracy and speed. On arrival back at the airfield, the aircraft is met by the photographic officer and a RAAF, who rushes the camera magazine with photographic reconnaissance reports to the photographic section. Experts rapidly process the film and resulting prints are shown to the class. Stereo pairs are prepared for the photographic instructor, who gives a lecture on stereoscopy, the method by which relief is obtained and ground objectives easily identified.
Derived from the Greek word stereo, meaning solid, and scopio I see, stereoscopy is the science art, practice, or phenomenon of seeing solid. Not double, that's intoxication. The ability to appreciate depth in the field of vision is known as stereoscopic power and is one of the main characteristics of binocular vision. Stereoscopy plays an important role both in plotting from air photographs and their interpretation.
The instructor personally supervises the work of each student. All are taught how to use a stereoscope to locate targets, camouflage positions, and study the contour of the ground. Included in the class are Royal Australian Air Force and Royal New Zealand Air Force pilots, also Australian Army and Allied Army officers. Stereo pairs have to be carefully matched for correct vision, and each student is instructed until proficient in the art of interpreting air photographs. Another important phase of the Air Army Cooperation course is instruction in the method of picking up ground messages by aircraft which cannot land in the locality. A written message is placed in a bag container attached to a cord, pick-up gear erected, and message placed in position. When all is ready, the aircraft flies low over the position, and a long arm attachment picks up the bag as it speeds by. Skillful piloting is necessary with low flying experience in order to make certain there are no near misses.
This morning, gentlemen, I wish to discuss the various methods of communication between ground and air when wireless has broken down or wireless silence is desired. The simplest and most useful of these methods is the T-panel. The only apparatus needed being 2 ground strips and 4 discs. The ground strips are laid in the form of a T, thus.
The instructor explains the method of placing round white discs at various points around the T ground strip, each combination representing a code group for signaling to aircraft. After the lecture, ground strips are laid, and Army students again take the air for practical experience in this method of communication. Smoke screens play an important part in covering the movements of troops or obscuring objectives from enemy observation. Here again, the Air Force is called upon to assist the Army, and this is how it is done. Paratroops. The Army takes to the air in no mean fashion. Australia's paratroops are ready. Another example of the Air Force and Army cooperating for victory. Nothing is left to chance. Air Force instructors check over the fitting of chutes. Every man is keen, fit, tough, and highly trained for this special job. The paratroops march off to emplane. Out goes the first paratrooper. His chute is opened automatically by means of a static line as he leaves the aircraft. He floats through the air with the greatest of ease. A stick of paratroops. Here is more trouble for the enemy. Field day brings a buzz of activity, but hard work produces healthy appetites, and the Army must be fed. Back at headquarters, a cheery group of WAAFs prepare lunch, which will be dropped by parachutes to the men in the field. And are they happy in their wartime job?
She was sweet, she was pretty, she was neat, she was witty, but she kept all her charm to herself. And it seemed such a pity that a girl who was pretty should prefer to remain on the shelf. Every girl friend she knew had a sailor in view, or an airman to call her own. One day she met a soldier who was very, so very alone. She's in love with the soldier, and the soldier's in love with her. She don't care for fellows in the air. Sailors adore her, they've got nothing for her, for she's in love with the soldier. Nobody else can compare. She's so in love with the soldier, and the soldier's in love with her.
Supply dropping is an important phase of training, as it calls for a high standard of flying, and the ability of the pilot to recognize and read signals from the ground, which indicate the area in which the supplies are to be dropped. One of the recognition signals used is smoke. This is created by a special candle which gives off a dense column of white smoke. All the lessons of the past few weeks are put to the test under field conditions. Aircraft land in difficult places, are dispersed and effectively camouflaged. This helps to prevent detection from the air, thereby keeping information from the enemy as to strength and position. At a given signal, aircraft move out and take off from strips concealed amongst the trees. Instructors check up on every operation to make sure the correct procedure is followed. The students must be thoroughly conversant with all sections of Air-Army cooperation. Postings will follow, as another batch of Air Army Cooperation students has qualified and will soon be in action against ruthless aggressors. Now for the results of this intensive cooperative training. Classroom strategy becomes reality. Returning from reconnaissance over enemy territory, the photographic aircraft hands over vital films on which the success of future operations depend. They are rushed to the photographic section for processing. Every minute counts. Speed and yet more speed is called for. Everything depends on photographic results, and time is the essential factor. Finished photographs are examined minutely, target areas selected. Action stations, and pilots rush to their machines and take off. The romantic tropical sky becomes a battle area. Reconnaissance has disclosed carefully hidden enemy barges, which are effectively spotted. The sky is thick with aircraft. Two-way communication is established between pilots and artillery. Range and direction are corrected. Army Co-op pilots direct the ground forces by radio. Guns roar. Bombs crash on enemy dumps. Everywhere, the enemy is being blasted and disorganized. The presence and efficiency of our aircraft overhead gives confidence to Army troops on the ground. Paratroops go into action to strengthen the attack. Smoke screens are laid, covering the advance units. The Army and the Air Force strike together. Cooperation keeps us all swinging along the road to victory.
Never a job too tough for you and me. Now,